Hi, this is Brandon Hurter with Pivot180, and I'm about to show you the AI-powered pricing tool. So I built this for myself as a consultancy. We do project-based work, and every project is a little bit custom at this time. So we have two components of our work, which is, hey, we build things and then we run things and manage them for people. So there's an initial build cost and an operations cost. And potentially there's support and service cost to that as well. So what I wanted to do is build a really easy UI that I could come in and generate proposals, pricing for our clients. So I'm going to show you what this thing looks like. On the left-hand side is a settings area in which you could declare exactly how much you want to charge per hour for some of your work. You can also provide some gross margin targets as well. So you want to be in for the build, you want to make the 30% gross margin on all the build work. You want to make 10%, 20%. These are just made up numbers. You can do with those what you want, but they give the system an understanding of where you need to be, and I'll show you what that looks like. So as an example, you can add workflows, and I've already started to add one here called the AI receptionist. And you have a little area where you can say, hey, what's the description of this? So you can kind of keep everything on track. AI automated inbound and outbound support for client inquiries. It works 24/7. It works outside office hours in multiple languages, and it's optimized for email and SMS. This is a typical project that we deploy for some of our clients across multiple industries. So in here, you could say, hey, it's going to take me 100 developer hours to build this out. Maybe it's the second time we're building this, so you cut that in half, and maybe it only takes 50 hours. But because you set the developer rate at 200 over here, it's going to give you a developer cost of $10,000 at 50 hours at $200 an hour. If there are other hard costs, you can add them in here as an example, an API license, or you're doing some data migration work and say you're going to charge bulk for that another $300. And you can continue to add those things and it will total up your costs. And what it's doing down here is actually it's putting in your markup to get to your target gross margin. So 14,28571 is a gross margin of 27.9. So it says if you're at 14,714, you'd be at a gross margin of 30%. So if you go in here and you could easily change this out based on what you want it to be. And you'll see you're at the, oops, a little too much there, at the 30% gross margin. So it does all the calculations for you, and then you could just play with numbers on depending on, do you want a little bit more cost, a little bit less cost? Do you want to eat into some of your margin? Is this a new client, an existing client? And you can strategize, and the tool does all the calculations for you to make sure that you're on the mark in terms of understanding the impact to your margin profile. And then we have AI ops cost, and this is like hosting. So a lot of times we'll host the application or the workflow on N8 end, and we could say, hey, it's a starter plan, it's a pro plan, it's a business plan. You could customize this for anything you essentially wanted to do, or you can say it's going to be self-hosted, and self-hosted could be the client hosting it. So there would be no fee, and you just move past this part. But as an example, you're going to say, hey, we're going to do 10,000 executions a month, and that's going to be a $20 plan from N8 end. So you're adding that cost, and it starts to calculate that. Now you can come in here and itemize token costs for API for AI, and you could say, on average, that's going to be 100. We don't have the actual token calculator built into this yet, only because it's changing so much. But once things starts to stabilize, I can see where this would be like, we give it the particular model that it's going to use, and it's going to automate the pricing here. But essentially we're saying, hey, you're going to have a $20 hosting cost a month. You're going to have OpenAI. We're going to spend about $100 worth of token a month, which is a huge amount. And with Anthropic, we're going to spend about $50 a month. And it adds all that up to 170, but then it's going to work in your margin. You have a 10% margin on the AI ops, so it's going to hit you with 188 as the price to the client. So you've got your build price, you got your operating price, and now you select a support plan. And again, these can be customized based on how you want to deliver support. So we have 3 plans: Essential, Performance, and Premium. You could say, client already has a plan, so there's nothing there. Maybe this is a second or third workflow you built for them, so you're not going to charge them an additional plan. But in the case that you do charge them a plan, say Essential, it's going to be $600 a month. We're going to mark that up. We're going to get the 20% gross margin on it, so it's $750 a month. And by the way, you'll be able to, in the end here, look at the summary, which has your build, your ops, and your support. And the client totals are nicely aggregated here. So you could say that essentially they're going to pay $14K for the build, then they're going to have a $939 a month fee monthly for ongoing maintenance and support and the running of the AI models. So it even goes to calculate your year 1 total and your year 2 total. Nicely presented for the client. But you can also say, hey, this seems a little rich for, I think, what the client is going to be willing to pay, or I have a relationship with the client, so I'm going to take 50% off the AI component of this. Actually, the AI component is not too bad. I'm going to take 10% off that, and I'm going to take 50% off the service. So it discounts, applies, and then now we're down to $545 a month, and then it calculates into your year 1 and year 2 savings. So at this stage, you can play with the numbers and discounting a little bit. You can also say, hey, there was part of this process in which we went in the client and sat for a couple weeks and really did some discovery with them, and I want to charge for that. So you could charge a flat fee for that. You could toggle that on or off, and then it would show up in the client totals. Also, you adjust the quote as you're calculating year 1 and year 2 totals. If this is not going to go online until July, you want to say it's year 1 is 6 months starting in July, so it's going to adjust those totals accurately. So this is still the internal screen. So what does the client output look like? So this is the client output of that same deal. So it just say it's the Acme Inc. company, and we're building them the AI receptionist. So this is the actual PDF that they will see. They'll get the build fee. They'll get the ops fees. You can put in here, this is the basic support plan. You could type some notes in here that will convey into the PDF. And it gives them the year 1, year 2, and any additional notes down here as well. So what you can do is you can download this to an Excel, you can download it to Word, or you can print a PDF, and it outputs it in very nice layout. Once you make your way through this, you've downloaded yourself a shareable PDF that you can send off to the client. And your next step is just to save this scenario, and it will ask you for a name. And then when you come back into this tool, you have all your scenarios right here. So you have the Acme, and you can come in and rename it. You can copy it. You can load it back up again because there might be other quotes in here that you have that you want to look through. But anytime you want to search for a proposal or update a current scenario, you can always do that. So this is the AI-powered pricing and proposal tool that we have designed and I use personally at Pivot180 with a couple tweaks. It can be made ready for any business. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us directly, and we're happy to help you out. Thanks for listening.